Between the two of them.
The inside of Coates.
Watkins gets too heavily involved.
And that's Whitehead and Coates.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome along to the second event in the BMW GT4 Sprint Series with Virtual Reality Racing Club. Richard John Neal here with Becky Aparicio. Becky, working with you again. How have you been?
Yeah, good to be back. Yeah, been all good here. Managed to do quite a lot of comms in the last race series, and for some odd reason I've been invited back for this one as well. So I'll be joining you with all the American rounds for our
Oh,
M4.
cool. Okay. Excellent. Oh, it's great. It's great to be working with you, and I'm really glad that things worked out with the touring car head-to-head with Scott Woodwis. And yeah, looking forward to seeing how this all pans out. We had an interesting week last week. And I'll fly a little bit because I've only literally just logged on, got the paperwork and everything else. So we'll wing through this as best I can. Wing as ever. Here's the schedule. So we're at Watkins Glen this week. Do you know, I hadn't even noticed that, yeah, it was American rounds every other one, so well on Becky for sorting that out and joining us on those. So yeah, Watkins Glen today, Bahrain next week, and then Sebring, Imola, Road Atlanta. I can't remember which one I can't do. It might be Silverstone, and then Road America on the 4th of November wraps things up before we get into our winter racing, whatever that may well be. So that's the rundown. Championship wise, of course, there is one drop round, so technically we could say everybody is on 0 points if they drop the round that they've got. But of course, it's the two brothers, 1 and 2, Jack Smith and Oliver Gibson. Jack with a pretty good lead after the one round. Oliver Gibson second from the Flying Teapot, Thomas Potter. Scott Bugner had a good evening as well last time out. So too did Jamie Page, who I think Becky's done more commentary on than I have. Andy Carroll 6 from Lee Piercy, Lewis Stannard, Andy Dorman and Paul Laramie in 10th place. Then it's Rich Hayden. Chris Blakey had a little bit of a knock at wherever he was racing at the weekend. I believe we'll talk about that a little bit later on. Cat Potter, last week's driver of the round, 13th from Daniel Heaps and Ollie Smith. Alex Walker is next up from John Jones and Jack Dickerson. Kenny Press and Scott Ferguson wrapping up top 20. Next up is Caden Cook. He's got points, as has Connor Potter, and John Wilkie's on the board too. Hopefully we'll see if Callum Enstone is here as well. He has been, yeah, he is great. He's in the practice. Callum has been practicing here as well. So they are our runners. We do have a couple of drivers missing today. As we mentioned, Chris Blakey had a shunt at the weekend and is a little bit bruised. So the main thing is, of course, Chris, we wish you well and look forward to seeing you back behind the virtual wheel very, very soon. And Paul Laramie is working a little bit late today, so he might be able to make it to race 2 and then obviously race 3 to following that. Here's a little summary of the podium from last week. Jack Smith from Ollie Gibson and Tom Potter, with Cat Potter taking the driver of the round after a super set of drivers, really, we have to say, and exceptionally so in race number 2, a driver that's really improving, which is what it's about. And I think that goes to prove that for driver of the round, we're not just looking at the faster people at the front, we're looking at really everybody and trying to pick out different people and acknowledging what they do in the racing. So that was our podium last time around. This time we're at Watkins Glen, a track that, a name of track that resonates with me, particularly being one of the an older school commentator. Watkins Glen was where, when I started getting into F1, where the American Grand Prix was. So it's not a circuit that I know particularly well, but I do remember, kind of reading about it and getting excited when the cars went to Watkins Glen to race. So this is what it looks like. It is a great track. Most of the people love racing on the circuit, and we're going to have a flying lap just to give you a taster of before we get into the evening's racing and talk to you a little bit more about the format. But here's our flying lap. Thank you to Jack Smith for being our guide on we could call it a sighting lap, I suppose. It's a really technical circuit, and we're looking around about 1 minute 50 for each of the laps. Becky, have you done any laps on this? I mean, I don't go on sims, and I probably should. Don't let my son hear me say that, because he'll be bullying me to go on it. But have you done anything on this circuit?
Yeah, I have been. I tried to have a little bit of a go, tried to get in the mindset of all the drivers, try to understand the track a little bit better. I'm one of these that I'm much more, I'm a better learner with physical and stuff, so I'm good at going round and to take it all in. Not like that will be much help, but we will see. Yeah, it's a great track. It is a lot of fun to get round. Couple of points where I think we might get a little bit close for comfort, especially when we've got 21 cars out on grid. So yeah, it could be a little bit tight, especially coming out of their S's. And you've got the walls that kind of seem to close in on you a bit. So yeah, it could be a little bit spicy to begin with, but hopefully it will be nice and calm, not quite as much carnage as we had last week, because I did catch up a bit. So I'm a little bit upset that I missed the amazing performance from Kat Potter. Just have to give her a shout out. She did really well last, so hopefully there'll be more of that. And I know you mentioned before about seeing how drivers grow, so it's great to see that progression. So good luck to obviously everybody, but go on, Kat.
Yeah, that's fair. No bias amongst the girls then tonight.
No, not at all. No, I don't have favourites at all, but there's just a little soft spot there.
No, absolutely right. And whoever improves is very much welcome along and hopefully aware that we do notice, and we will look for the other things as well. Countdown onto the race. We've got around about 1 minute 44 to go. And yeah, really excited to announce a slightly different format. So the first race is a reverse of the top 12. Actually, it looks like top 10 of the championship, is it? Well, anyway, it's a reverse of championship positions, partial. And then we will go partial reverse of the race 1 result, and then a reverse of the combined results from races 1 and 2. The race is slightly shorter this evening as well. As Jack Oliphant was alluding to last week, we felt that maybe the races should be a little bit tighter, just to maybe make it more of a challenge for the guys coming through from the back of the grid. And I think it's good decisions being made by everybody to do that. So just under a minute to go for our first of 3 races here at Watkins Glen. Last week's winners, obviously double for Jack Smith. Scott Bugner won the 3rd race, and as Becky mentioned, there was a little bit of a coming together with some of the drivers on the reverse grids, maybe a little bit too much, but I'm sure the riot act has been read in the driver's briefing, and everybody will be on task to do the business through the course of this. So we've got 27 seconds to go. As ever, raising money for Race Against Dementia. 17 seconds to go on the clock. As we look at the front, you can see Rich Hayden is there on pole position. Lewis Stannard's been quick as ever in the practice session. He's got an open door there to come down the inside into turn 1. So we'll see how that plays out as the lighting sequence is complete. And we are racing. Maybe Rich was slightly more recalcitrant than the others. And it's Lewis Stannard that goes past Andy Dorman into P2 as they go down into turn 1. But it's Rich Hayden that is leading. And Lewis Stannard gets maybe tagged, certainly gets a spin and falls away. That's a great shame. I had big hopes for Lewis Stannard in this one. Our reigning mini champion, of course, Lewis. But he's got another 2 races to come back. And of course the rest of the race. But look how narrow this is. This is much different, isn't it, Becky, to the wider circuits that the drivers can enjoy.
Yeah, and especially when you've got so many cars there as well, it feels a lot smaller. Even when I was going around the sim and just thought, yeah, this is quite tight at places. So it'll be, yeah, very interesting to see how cleanly we get through some of these corners and parts of the track. But I know obviously everybody would try to keep out the way of everybody else with a bit of hard racing here and there, but keep it nice and clean. But yeah, shame for Lewis because it looked like he had a great start there. And unfortunately, yeah, don't know if the rear just went round on. I know he was prevalent in the mini challenge that you did a few weeks back, so just getting maybe accustomed to a different car, obviously rear wheel versus your front wheel. So but I'm sure he will come back fighting.
Yeah, he will. That's a good point. Yeah, he was, of course, very much used to racing in the real world in front wheel drive in junior saloons, and I'm looking forward to his real world announcement for next year. I think I've got an idea what he's doing, but I'm not going to steal his thunder. Let him know. But let's take our hat off to Rich Hayden, who leads this one at the moment, as we watch Ollie Smith trying to make up. Caden Cook's in the top 10, so Caden doing a good job at the moment in 10th place. And there is Ollie Smith busy chasing his brother. So Jack Smith 8th, Lee Pearcey ahead of them at the moment as well. This for me, Becky, is really good because we've got the partial reverse now on the first race of the day. So we're not going to see anyone qualify on pole and then sort of sail off into the distance. It's going to be, I think it's going to be hard earned. I don't know if you saw the F4 racing at the weekend at Silverstone, but we had a reverse grid race. And there's no such thing as an easy reverse grid race now in F4. Absolutely mega job by Ethan Jeff Hall, who did a double overtake the left-hander at Brooklands on the outside, which was mega. And that's effectively what everyone's got to do here to get up at the sharp end, isn't it?
Yeah, no matter where you're normally racing. So if you are maybe a back runner as such, it doesn't matter, you're still another car that front runner has to get past. So it's knowing where to, and as we've already mentioned how tight this track can be, it's picking your moment and knowing again if they have a bit of a moment and they might clip you a little bit or run a little bit wide, you've got to be aware of that. So it all adds to the challenge of it, which is great to then see some of the people that we would normally see kind of shoot off into the distance having to fight a little bit more for it. I'm sure they might disagree. They probably like a quite nice easy, but actually saying that, I'm sure I've heard a few of them, especially Jack in the past, it's quite nice to be having a bit of a battle and having to get elbows out and defend as much as just kind of trying to set fast laps.
Yeah, indeed. And Oliver Gibson here trying to make his way past Andy Carroll. We were on board with Thomas Potter, who, Thomas, I apologise, didn't get a chance to talk to you properly at the weekend. Did try and find you a little bit later on in the weekend, but I was pretty much run ragged around the paddock talking to everyone. And you can't really have a short conversation with anyone in the paddock unless you're running for the commentary box, which I had to do a couple of times. Well, walking quickly, I don't do running, as many of you are probably aware. Rich Hayden's still in the lead, though. This is good for Rich. Scott Bugner trying to close him down. Scott 1 second or thereabouts down on him at the moment, with Andy Dorman running in a good third place at the minute, and then Thomas Potter in fourth, followed by Andy Carroll, and then Gibson and Smith that we're looking at here. They're followed by Lee Piercy, Ollie Smith in ninth, Caden Cook still in 10th place. So Caden last week had a 15th, a 22nd and a 12th, so running in a stronger position at the moment than we saw from last week, and then this is going to be really good building for him. And man making his debut in this championship, or for this championship, Callum Enstone, who was with us in the minis, is in 11th place. Callum was pretty quick at times in the minis as well, so interesting to see how he goes in rear-wheel drive. And Lewis Stannard's recovered up to 12th place, Becky, so he's really not hanging about, and to get into the top 10, it's going to be good points for him.
Yeah, great recovery. I'm sure he'll keep, as I don't know who we've got off in the parked up in the background there.
I was trying to figure out who that was. Nobody's dropped away from the timing screen. Normally you see a name sort of tumbling down the tower, don't you, or on the timer that we've got. I'm talking of timer, I need to look at that. We've got 15 minutes to go, so we're already a quarter of the way through this one. Watkins Glen is kind of, as I say, it is of my era in terms of F1, when the cars were the truly awesome things that we used to watch, you know, in the days of Hunt and Lauder and people like that, probably a little bit before Fittipaldi. It's no accident that the classic Formula One racing have the eras defined, the 70s era defined as the Fittipaldi era. And you can see here, this one has got, you know, a little bit like Spa, it's got the undulations as well as the turns that the drivers have to deal with. In my mind, very much like Brands Hatch GP. This circuit for me a little bit better than Brands GP. I find Brands GP a wee bit on the vanilla side. I'll probably get hauled over the coals for that when we go there in a couple of weeks in the British Touring Car Championship finale as we watch Jack Smith. Jack's doing a good job here, being ahead of Oliver's doing a good job being ahead of Jack at the moment. Get me brothers muddle up. Thomas Potter still in fourth place, but Rich Hayden doing a good job out front, although the gap has come down by about half a second to Scott Bugner, self-professed front-wheel drive racer, starting to put the pressure on as he climbs uphill. And we can see the gap now, so it's gone from a second to half a second to a couple of tenths now, and Bugner is very much on the attack, and Rich Hayden will be looking in his virtual mirror.
Yeah, he'll be trying to make his M4 as wide as possible there, won't want to give this away too easily. But yeah, Scott's been pushing from the get-go, maybe kind of let Rich have a bit of a run, and then has been closing in, and all of a sudden is rubbing in his rearview mirror, as you said. And yeah, just waiting for maybe a little bit of a mistake from Rich, maybe just a little bit too wide on one of these corners, and he'll be sneaking up around the inside, no doubt.
He will be indeed, and see Rich taking the apex as best he can there. Scott was second in the touring car head-to-head, which ran with us from July to September. Jack Smith, the champion of that particular competition, with Scott in second place. He had wins, he had a pole position during the course of that, so no surprise to see him at the front, even in this partial reverse. And he's got the pace at the moment over Rich in P2. Andy Dorman in third, a little bit of a gap back to third place at the moment. Thomas Potter in fourth. And I've got to say, it looks to me like this partial reverse could have been a little bit of a masterstroke, because we didn't get the big bun fight. Maybe it was the right act. I didn't join the driver's briefing. Becky, I think you came online just before me, so you probably didn't get a chance to hear that either, I'm guessing.
No, it wasn't a fly on the wall on that one, but I'm sure that was would have been interesting. I'm sure there was a lot to sort out from last week. Obviously, a bit of a new sort of format for this round of racing, so it's all kind of learning as we go along, and I don't know if we might have more changes as we go along, but I quite like the idea of having quali sessions. Again, it's more racing for the drivers, but also it means you don't get almost that complete fresh clean wipe of kind of, oh okay, I can just go into quali, do my best, as we've got Scott zooming up the to take the outside on Rich if he can stick it round. No, he's dropped back a little bit, so going to try again, maybe a little bit further up.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? Proper race between these two. Yeah, good spot as he came along the main straight, trying to get on terms with Rich Hayden. He's using slightly different lines, and that will, I guess, make Rich wonder where he is. Thomas Potter closing in on Andy Dorman for third place as well. So we got a pair of pairs in the top four, and this is Andy Dorman under pressure from Thomas Potter. Thomas looking to go on to, he's always on the podium, isn't he, at some point, Thomas Potter, and trying now to get around the outside, but he's got Oliver Gibson and Jack Smith closing in on him as well. So he'll have one eye looking up front, one eye looking behind as well, with Gibson, Smith, Andy Carroll not too far behind, Lee Piercy 8th, Ollie Smith 9th, Lewis Stannard now up into the top 10. So really good recovery from Lewis Stannard. Caden Cook 11th, Cat Potter is into 12th now, ahead of Callum Enstone, John Jones 14th from Kenny Press, Jack Dickinson, Connor Potter, Scott Ferguson and John Wilkie. I think John might have been the driver that had the problem, not up quite yet with all the liveries on this one, as Rich Hayden continues to lead, and it's not really a duo for second position anymore, because Thomas Potter, sorry, for third position, Thomas Potter now past Andy Dorman, and Thomas is going to try and get away. Dorman, of course, will try and hold up or defend from Oliver Gibson and Jack Smith, but Thomas not really getting away from Andy at the moment. So Andy trying to close in. The good news for Thomas is that the two brothers are behind him, and here comes Oliver Gibson down the inside, back to the lead though, and it's still a straight fight between Bugner. He's all over the back of Rich Hayden at the moment, so Rich will be sweating here for the moment. It's nice to catch up with Rich over the weekend. He was talking to some of the great and good of the touring car world. They go side by side now, and let's see whether Scott Bugner can make it. He's drawing alongside. It's going to depend how the next corner plays out. They go very slightly uphill here, but Rich Hayden's got the line as they come through into the chicane. Now is there going to be a cut back here? Scott still can't quite do it, and this again, he's one of the frustrating things about this course, and equally one of the good things about this course. So many changes of direction that you can go for the inside on one corner, but then you've got to stick it out on the outside to try and make the inside for the next corner and grab the lead. But this is a classic battle developing here, isn't it?
Yeah, Rich is positioning his car just in the right place every single time that Scott wants to make a move. So just keep doing that for the next kind of just over 9 minutes, Rich, and you're buzzing, aren't you? But yeah, I wonder if now, yeah, Andy's probably going to have a. I think actually Ollie Gibson might have had a bit of a moment, because he was right on the back of Andy and Thomas at a point, but he seems to have dropped back a bit after setting some really fast laps as well. So was pushing on, but has dropped back, behind Andy Carroll. So it's now Jack Smith as the leading DK power car out of that duo.
Oh, good spot. Yeah. Do you think the teapot's closing up as well here?
Yeah, he seems to have dropped Andy a little bit, hasn't he? So he's pushing on, eyes forward now, hoping that Andy will get distracted by Jack now, and he can make his way up the road and battle the front two, and maybe give them something to think about on our last laps of this race.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting, isn't it? See whether Thomas can close down, make it a three-way battle for the lead. It could take the pressure off Rich Hayden if Scott hasn't made it past by then. And he's certainly really struggling. You can see how close he's getting, so close under the rear spoiler of the leading car. Rich running with the Race Against Dementia liveries on the car. And here comes Bugner again, goes to the outside, the climb uphill. Let's see whether he can go through. Rich has again got a little bit of momentum. They tag just a little bit, and Rich gets the better of it for the moment. Scott runs over the curbs and will close up again. Really good racing from the pair of them now, and he tries to shoot the car down the inside, but again, not quite enough momentum to be able to do that. And we can see that Thomas Potter is closing the gap on the pair of them. Rich is being, he's being defensive. You're right, Becky. He's putting the car in the right place, but he's not being overly defensive. And there's often these little tantalising gaps for him to have a go into, but the momentum doesn't seem to be there for the challenger at the moment. He will have to start looking in his mirrors, because Thomas Potter, third in the championship, so he's our first championship podium runner in this one. He's the first one that's going to be on the scene as Andy Dorman and Jack Smith go side by side. Jack trying to work his way past. Oliver Gibson now down behind Andy Carroll, but here comes Thomas Potter behind in the turquoise and black car. Side by side they go for fourth place. Jack Smith up into fourth now. And Jack is going to be re-challenged here by Andy Dorman on the inside. Dorman doing a superb job of getting back. Brilliant stuff.
Yeah, great cut back there to get that position back, and yeah, I'm sure Scott's getting a bit frustrated now, thinking, right, I need to get past him, but yeah, Rich is doing a brilliant job here, and I'm sure he's hoping Thomas comes in and causes a bit of issue, and a bit of a distraction maybe towards the end as well. So we've got Ollie Gibson now managing to get back past Andy Carroll, as we've got Lewis setting the fastest lap as well. So yeah, he's not been resting on his laurels at all, as after that early mistake. He's been pushing forward and yeah, managing to set some really good lap times and trying to make his way back up. He's about a second, 1-2 off Lee Piercy, so maybe a bit of an ass to get any further up. But like we say, great recovery, and I'm sure the next 2 races he'll be up there again.
Yeah, they're going to be mindful of him, aren't they, in race 2, because it's the, I think, top 12 that we're reversing. So Cat Potter in 12th at the moment. So Cat's done well to get into the top 12. As we go back to our leaders, Thomas Potter, again, closing in, maybe not closing in as quickly as I thought he might, which just goes to show how well the leads 2 are doing whilst they're dicing. And the key may be that they're not overly defensive at the moment. The circuit doing some of the defending a little bit for Rich Hayden out front. We go back to Jack Smith trying to repass Andy Dorman. Andy going back past him was, I've got to say, pretty good stuff from Andy Dorman. How long have we got to go? Let's have a quick look at the timing screen. It's gone very quickly. We've only got 5 minutes 23 remaining, so around about 3 laps left on our Watkins Glen configuration. You can see Jack Smith now trying to use a little bit more curb, get a little bit more run, more momentum to maybe do a shoot down the inside if Andy Dorman will leave a gap. Very nearly the trio up front, and it's still Rich Hayden under that pressure. This is where they're pleased they're not in the touring cars, Becky, because if they were in touring cars and thinking like touring car drivers, Scott Bugner might have dished out a little tap on the back just to pop the car a little bit wide. But these guys are gentlemen, they're not going to do that.
You know, so some good racing. Yeah, not quite as argy-bargy as our normal touring cars, but it just seems like Rich has just got more drive as he gets out the corner. So I wonder if he is obviously bound to have slightly different throttle application between drivers anyway, but he just seems to be getting it, like the throttle down at better points and managing to pull himself out the corners. So then by the time Scott's there's not much he can do to retaliate at the moment. As I probably jinxed that, as it looks like he's going for yet another move.
It is. It's pretty much the same place, isn't it, as before? And he can't quite get around the outside, but as long as he's harrying the leader, I guess he's putting the pressure on. They go past the stricken car. Andy Dorman's still 4th, as you can see, from Jack Smith. Jack busy trying to relieve the 4th place car of position at the moment. Oliver Gibson still in 6th, ahead of Andy Carroll. Ollie Smith in 8th from Lee Piercy, and Lewis Stannard continues to recover. It's definitely a trio now for the leads. How much longer, because Thomas Potter made a little error there and goes wide. I'm wondering whether tyres are starting to go off actually a little bit. Thomas is trying to focus on them and close in, but that takes the pressure off Scott Bugner. Scott only needs, I'm guessing, really only needs to go past once, so he only needs one move to get past Rich. So he's kind of the guy in the box seat at the moment with cards to play.
Yeah, maybe leave it to the last minute to know that there's no time for Rich to be able to retaliate. It just depends how confident you're going to be and knowing where to make that move. I know he keeps popping out kind of the same sort of place to kind of go for an overtake, but there's multiple times where people will do it to just try to put that driver off. Like again, in British touring cars, it's always the flashing of the headlights and just a slight distraction. So him just always being there will be putting that pressure on Rich, and I'm sure Rich will be willing the end of this race, as we've got just under 3 minutes to go as we start yet another lap. See if we have the same sort of moves made by Scott, or if he's going to try something different to get past as Rich goes slightly wide.
He does, but he gets back across, doesn't he? Grabs the apex and closes the gap down on Scott Bugner. With Jack Smith's had some sort of moment around about half a lap ago. He's back in 6th now behind Andy Dorman and Oliver Gibson, with Ollie Smith in 7th, but it's still Rich Hayden out front. This is the view from Scott Bugner on our Tuesday evening, and now he's got very good momentum and draws alongside virtually at the same place. 2 minutes 12 to go, and he's going to have a look down the inside here, sends it, but this is what I was saying, flicks to the outside of the next corner. Now Thomas Potter is coming up to play as well. Potter here could feed. If he follows Hayden, he'll grab the inside line and maybe go up into P2. Potter wants to have a go at Rich Hayden, and now the fight's on for second. Rich Hayden is free at the moment to lead this one, or is he? No, because Scott Bugner is not being passed by Thomas Potter. Thomas is having the same trouble as getting past Scott Bugner as Scott is getting past Rich. So it's the three of them. Are we going to see Andy Dorman close in on the 4 as well in the closing stages? 1:46 to go. So back we go. Rich has got a little bit of a gap developing now, so he has got away, and there is a scrap developing for second as Thomas Potter looks to the outside of Scott Bugner. And Scott runs a little bit wide here. If Thomas has got momentum through that corner, he might be able to flick back. No, he can't. He's going to go to the outside now, grabs the inside for the next corner, hard on the brakes. Bugner goes a little bit wide. That will scrub off a little bit of speed. Rich Hayden will be having a little bit of a cheesy grin here, I feel, to himself as he continues to lead this one. So Rich Hayden, the leader, massive battle on for P2. Thomas still can't quite get past, but he's having a very good go at Scott Bugner.
Yeah, all that fighting between Scott and Thomas has meant Rich has now got just over a second lead, so hopefully he can just keep eyes forward and not have to worry too much about these two battling behind him. But now this is the battle to watch as Andy is closing in as well, so we could have 3 people trying to go for P2 right at the bit.
Yeah, well, we're into the closing stages of this one, and well, second and third looks a little bit more settled in a few corners back now, and Rich Hayden looks happy. The gap's gone out to 1.2, which is as big as it's been at any time during this race, as the Caterham Logistics car makes a move. It's the curb, spins over. Thomas Potter spins out of third place, promoting Andy Dorman onto the podium. Ollie Gibson's up into fourth, and that surely is race over now. Scott Bugner, I don't think he's going to have time to close the gap again on our race leader, Rich Hayden, who is going to grab his first win since when? Was it the F4 Championship? We'll catch up with him on the podium. But it looks like, Richard, do I use the pencil of doom and write R. Hayden as P1? I'm not going to do that yet, and he'll probably thank me for that as he continues to lead uphill around the right-hander, continuing uphill from Scott Bugner in P2. Andy Dorman, where did Thomas Potter recover? In 8th place. Lewis Stannard very near him, so the battle of those two youngsters will continue in the next race. Top 12 completed at the moment by Andy Carroll and Cat Potter. So if it's top 12 reverse for race 2, it'll be those two on the front row of the grid. But the clock has ticked down to 0, and it is Hayden, Bugner, Dorman, Ollie Gibson in 4th place from Ollie Smith. This has been one of the treats to watch this one, because I've seen very little either on screen or on the timing in terms of contact, as Rich Hayden will take the checkered flag. Well done, Rich. A win for Rich Hayden. Started on the front row, but had to work hard from that man in P2, Scott Bugner. Andy Dorman takes 3rd position with Oliver Gibson 4th, Ollie Smith 5th, Lee Pearcey coming up to 6th. Great run by Lee Pearcey, but it's a nice tidy race, wasn't it, Becky, to get us underway this evening?
Yeah, not too eventful with any sort of crashes, and that was me thinking it was going to be tight coming out the S's, but it was nice. Fairly calm and civilised, that race, so that was great, and some great racing between the drivers as well. So now they've got a kind of a feel for it all. We'll see what race 2 brings, with maybe a few more maybe challenging moves or more daring ones. We will see.
We will see. I ran down the top 6. Jack Smith 7th from Thomas Potter 8th. Lewis Stannard fastest lap and 9th. Well done, Lewis. Caden Cook 10th. Great drive from Caden Cook. Might put him in the early frame for our driver of the round. Really well improved from the first event. Cat Potter ran well too in 11th from Andy Carroll. Callum Enstein 13th from John Jones. Kenny Press 15th. Then Jack Dickerson. Connor Potter 17th from Scott Ferguson. And John Wilkie, I think, had those early problems. Hopefully John will be back in our 2nd and 3rd races. And we'll be back with a word with our podium finishers in just a moment.
I've had a lot of challenges in my life, and Helen was always there, supporting me through everything. Today, we're facing a new challenge. Helen has been diagnosed with a terrible disease. Dementia is nothing less than a worldwide epidemic. Formula One moves fast. By contrast, medical research can be painfully slow. We want to bring some of our Formula One technology into the laboratories. Our charity, Race Against Dementia, will help to accelerate the pace of dementia research. let's beat dementia together.
So, welcome to our first podium of our second evening of BMW GT4 Sprint Series racing. We're going to go to the man on third on the grid, who kind of on the last. We ran dual championships, didn't we, over the last few months. One was the touring car head-to-head, which Becky and Scott looked after, and then we have the mini challenge. In second position to Lewis Stannard was Andy Dorman, and it's always great to catch up with Andy. Thomas Potter kind of handed it to you a bit, but you were putting pressure on. How did you get back in front of Jack Smith after he passed you? That was a great move.
I don't think Jack actually managed to get past me. I know we were side by side for a few corners, and then I think I had the inside for the next corner, and he dropped back a little bit.
Got you. So it was a kind of a nose in front rather than actually completely past.
Yeah, he got nose in front, and then I put up a bit of a fight and went around the outside of him on a couple of corners.
It's a tough-looking track, Andy.
It's a really difficult track. Those curbs are a bit evil if you get them wrong.
And I can't remember where you started on the grid, but you were towards the front. But you know, you've had to work very hard for that for that podium, and you know, totally different feel, I'm guessing, to the minis that we last saw you in.
Yeah, they're taking a bit of getting used to. I preferred the minis because we could adjust the setup to suit my driving style. Whereas these, I've got to adapt to the car.
Right. That's the thing, isn't it, about drivers? Would you say that it's there are drivers that could drive anything, and then drivers that actually like to have a fiddle and a faff?
Yeah, I think there's some drivers that'll just get in and drive the wheels off anything, and then there's other ones like me that need to try and eke as much performance out of the car as possible.
I think, yeah, historically, probably the drivers that, and I'm not saying this because I'm talking to you, but I think the ones that tend to be successful are the ones that can change the settings and know what they want to change and get the best out of the car. I'm going to ask Steve, we've got 3 minutes on the clock, is that right? So we still need to... Okay, just making sure we've got time to get through all of the various chats and everything. Reverse grid formats, I'm guessing, Andy, the thing with Watkins Glen is that you kind of try and make a bit of progress and hold your own. It's not going to be that easy to get from P12 up onto podium positions next time.
Yeah, it's going to be more difficult, but the walls are quite close and things, so it only takes people to make little mistakes in front of you, and then you can nip past them.
Yeah, that's true. And yeah, Thomas had a little moment, didn't he? He was gunning for the top two, but as we saw with Scott Bugner, very, very difficult when you've got two drivers very evenly matched to make that. But first podium in the BMW for you, so a decent start to add on to last week, 7th, 8th, and 8th. So really three really good, solid top 10 finishes last week, and not a bad start to the campaign.
Yeah, no, it's going really well, I think. Hopefully we can get back up on the podium a few more times in this championship.
Hope so too. Andy, well done on P3, and we'll catch up with you with another podium interview very soon.
Yep, brilliant. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Andy. Always good to see Andy running well. And interview for the series in our second event is with Scott Bugner, who takes P2. Scott, I think is it this week you're away to VRRC land and doing stuff, or was it the October one? I can't remember.
Yeah, this weekend I'm at Silverstone. We normally run with the VRRC, but this weekend we're with the VRSCC.
Yep, and for your sins, you don't get streamed either, do you?
No, unfortunately not. You pay that much for an entry fee and you can't even watch it back.
Is it more expensive than the Bark one?
No, I think it's the same. Ours is set to a certain amount every year. They don't change, which is good, I suppose.
Yeah, we did. Funny enough, I was actually behind a little group. We were looking at trying to film this weekend. We tried talking to a few people, but there wasn't budget forthcoming, unfortunately, which was a pity. But yeah, it's a shame. I think most clubs now are doing. I think Bark do all of theirs. 750 is sort of a little bit selective about which ones they do as a VRSC. But sorry about that. But anyway, what I'm not sorry about is that we've got you on the podium, and what a race you had with Rich. That must have been frustrating for you, knowing you had the speed, but you couldn't get past him, and you kept it clean, kept it fair.
I didn't want to. No, I'm joking. It was it was really good. I think the problem was I don't know. I'll ask it. If you can ask Rich after this, I'll try and listen to the answer.
Yeah.
But there was a yellow flag down the back straight every single lap from lap 1 or 2.
Okay.
And I kept getting a really good run on Rich coming out the first corner, but I didn't want to overtake him. And then he goes, "Oh, give that back." So I kept having to sort of like lift halfway down the straight so I didn't overtake him. But that's the only place really that I could get a good run on him. Apart from that, it was very, very equal. He gave me a little shoulder barge down the straight once, so he might have to get one of them back in the second one. But it was good. It was really good fun. I really enjoyed it. And actually, we didn't take each other out.
Right. I mean, he can always penalise himself, can't he? So.
That is it. Yeah, that is it. So yeah,
and he does though, doesn't he?
he does. You know, he's very, very fair. He's very fair. Yeah, no, it was good. I think we've got I don't know how because I've only done about 10, 11 laps of practice, but Andy's helped me out with the setup, and it's just felt quite good here. I've kind of got the knack of it, but you know, it'll be next week. It'll be totally different. So when we've got these sort of tracks where we are sort of confident and can do well, we've got to get as many points as we can because we know that Jack Smith will be hot on our heels.
Yeah, that's very true. Jack seemed to struggle a wee bit there, but still managed to pull in some points, which is quite handy for him. We'll come on to the real world. What's the prep like with this weekend upcoming at Silverstone? Everyone was asking me last week at Silverstone, are you going to be there? And sadly not, unless they do need a commentator. I think that's all sorted out. But what's the real world prep like? How busy are you once you get out of the sim?
This week it's always busy the week beforehand. All the family that are watching probably tonight will understand that we always do things to the last minute. We're never prepared. We always wait until the sort of the Wednesday beforehand, and then we go, we need this. Nah, it's not been too bad. My dad's racing as well, so we've got both of us are on the grid this weekend. So getting 2 cars ready has been a bit more of a pain, but it's nice to sort of beat the old man now and again if I can. And yeah, I'm not in the championship fight this year. I've only done a few rounds because of sponsors and stuff. But fingers crossed for next year. I've already bagged myself a sponsor, so I'm hoping that next year we can do a full season and go for a title push.
That's pretty good. There's pluses to both approaches from where I'm standing, because if you're in a championship, it's great that you can have the budget and the commitment to do that. But equally, if you're doing odd rounds, there's less pressure, isn't there? So you can go and enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, I've got nothing to lose. So people that are going for the championship this weekend, it doesn't matter to me. I'm going to go out for my own thing, and to get my own sponsors. So, I always make it very clear to people that I'm not there to move out the way. If you don't want to get involved in battles, then I'll go through happily. Not a problem at all. But yeah, you've got to. It's okay. You've got to be respectful. But at the end of the day, results get potentially sponsors and bits and bobs, so there's no point in me sitting there saying to a sponsor, well, I had to back off and let people through here in the championship. It'd be better if I come across and went, I won both races. That's what they want to hear. So yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. Silverstone's quite a good track. It makes racing very close, as we saw last weekend at the touring cars, and with us, I think there's nearly 40 cars on the grid, so it'll be quite close. I think top sort of 12 or 13 cars are normally separated within half a second anyway, so at Silverstone it's probably going to be even closer.
Excellent. Well done on P2. Running out of time, Richard's going to tell me off if I overrun. So well done, Scott. Hopefully catch up with you a bit later on.
Cool, thank you very much.
And Rich, I know you're keeping me to time on this one. I've got about 30 seconds. Well done on the win, mate. And Scott was asking about yellow flags.
Yeah, I don't know why he's asking that, because he's in so many championships with us. So the server doesn't penalise overtaking on yellows. He knows that. So I think his backing off down the straight was a little bit of a porcupine. But anyway, and also the shoulder barge, that was 50-50 in my book. Yeah, look, it was a good race. I was lucky, not lucky for Chris Blakey, because obviously he's not here because he's a bit sore after his accident, but I was lucky he should have been on pole, and then that would have been a much tougher race for me, but I managed to get some space ahead and then just tried to make my car as difficult as I could to pass. Just hooked the right hand side of the track down the main straight, so he had to go around the outside, and he backed out each time because there were yellows. Yeah, it was good.
Nice to get a win, isn't it? After such a battle, though. Very well.
Yeah,
deserved.
absolutely. Yeah, we've got a minute and 20 left on the clock, so we've got about another 10-15 seconds before I need to shoot. But yeah, it was great to get a win. Let's see how it goes from 12th on the grid, though, eh?
Yeah, well, good luck with that one.
Thank you very much.
Always good to get a chance to have a podium chat with you. And
Cheers.
if you win again, we'll think about you for driver of the round.
Thank you, mate.
Thanks, Rich Hayden. Well done on the
Cheers.
win. And we'll let you go and get ready. Yeah, I nearly got it to a minute before, 3 seconds before the next race starts. So 12th in the first race was with Cat Potter 11th. So the front row will be Andy Carroll and Cat Potter. Caden Cook is going to be one to watch. There is Caden with the Union flag on the roof of the car. Lewis Stannard. This is, I'll tell you what, these reverse grids always throw up some interesting scenarios. So Lewis Stannard on row 2. Thomas Potter as well with Jack Smith. It's a reverse grid, but we've got all the quick people at the front and some new names in the mix as well. So this is going to be very exciting as we get 19 seconds to go before the start of the race. And it is, as I say, on pole position, Andy Carroll with Cat Potter. And then Caden Cook. I'm interested to see what Caden and Cat can do here. Nearly ready to get going. And it is going to be lights out in just a moment for our second race. Caden Cook hooked up very quickly there, and he's already passed Cat Potter and up into P2. Nice start from Caden. Andy Carroll gets away well too. Quick focus on Lee Piercy as they go down into turn 1 for the first time. This is the worrying moment on this tight track. They're all using the runoff. Have to be careful of track limits, I suppose. But yeah, that's going to avoid any massive contact there, but it's Andy Carroll. Lewis Stannard came through, so Lewis Stannard up into P2 from Thomas Potter in P3. Jack Smith in 4th place after Caden's very quick launch. What was it I was saying about contact? There is some a little bit further back, which is a little bit of a pity, trying to see who's falling back. Oh dear, nasty one there. Is that Andy Dorman who is involved in that? He's dropped down into 17th, so it's Demolition Derby at the back, which is a major pity. We'll see whether anyone can keep running, but it's Andy Carroll out front from Lewis Stannard, Thomas Potter, Jack Smith, and Becky. That was a kind of a turn 3, turn 4 retirement. Thomas Potter, did he get tagged there? Thomas Potter's off. Wow, it's all gone pear-shaped.
Yeah, I don't know if there was a bit of contact there from Jack Smith on the back of Thomas Potter with him going slow. I think he's rectified that mistake and let Thomas go.
Yeah. Yeah, not what we wanted to see in the early stages, but Andy Carroll, well, you would have expected some of these drivers to have been up there. Lee Piercy seems to have come through rather well. He finished 6th in the first race, so a decent result for Lee. That's going to, oh, he's just dropped down now after all that. Timing screen's trying to sort itself out, the timing tower, and I've got to say my second screen's not looking much better either.
Yeah, I think I saw Lee Piercy there pulling off to the side, hazards on, so maybe a bit too much damage after that. Although saying that, I seem to see him there, so I don't know if again he was trying to rectify and let people go through, or it's just timing screen. I know it does look like he's up in P3, so we seem to be missing a couple of people here and there on the time screen, but I'm sure it'll sort itself out.
Lewis Stannard went for the send, didn't he, down into turn 1, and he's managed to keep the car there on the inside of Andy Carroll. Bear in mind, Stannard was fastest in race number 1. They're still side by side and fighting hard here, but Lewis has, I think, got this one now as he gets the run of inside lines and gets through into the lead. Lewis Stannard, after issues in race number 1, I tell you what, that fastest lap told us, and the recovery in race number 1 told us he's going to be the man to watch here. But Andy Carroll is going to try and fight back and goes for the dive, but doesn't quite work out. I think I've got my Union flags muddled up. It's Andy Carroll, isn't it, that was rather than Caden Cook earlier on, maybe. But Stannard not at the moment getting away from Andy Carroll. 2/10 down. Lee Piercy is in 3rd on the timing tower, with Scott Bugner up into 4th. So Scott could be the first driver to potentially make a double podium in this meeting, and he won't be too unhappy about that. Ollie Smith is in 5th. Thomas Potter 6th. Caden Cook still in and around in 7th place. Then Jack Smith, Callum Enstone in 9th, having a good run. Ollie Gibson 10th. John Wilkie 11th. Top 12 completed by Cat Potter at the moment. But yeah, very physical 3rd, 4th corners, and it's all kind of calmed down a little bit now as we watch Jack Smith closing up on Caden Cook. I thought Caden was going to be on for a podium. Look at that move there by Jack Smith. Is that what they call a send?
It was definitely a very brave move there. Was not waiting around for that, was he? Was going to make that move happen no matter what. And he's trying to push his way forward. during this race. But yeah, Lewis has definitely got a point to prove, hasn't he, after that first race incident. So it's almost like a what if, what could have been in that first race, because he definitely would have been up there with the pace that he's showing tonight.
Yeah, he's doing real well. Is he going back to that move that we just saw Jack Smith do on Caden Cook? Caden also, great awareness from him. He knew he was there. He didn't clatter him as he went past. So well done, Caden Cook, on that. And he's kept that 8th place with Callum Enstone. I think both of these drivers are going to be already stars in VRRC, but if they keep at it, I think they're going to be up with the front runners before too long as well, consistently. So Caden 8th, Callum 9th, Oliver Gibson in 10th place, and Andy Carroll dropping back a little bit at the moment. But one thing we know about Andy Carroll is he always pops up more often than not onto the podium. He grabbed a 3rd place in race 3 at Spa last week. Got Lee Pearcey in 3rd, trying to close down on him. Now Lee Pearcey's another driver you're never surprised if he's on the podium. And then Thomas Potter following Scott Bugner. So Thomas trying to close in on them as well. Quick flick up to the top of the timing screen. 14 minutes to go, so around about quarter distance approaching with Lewis Stannard. Their fastest driver on track at the moment is Jack Smith. So Jack and Lewis seemingly trading fastest laps in different races, and both of them when they're in the traffic. So you kind of thought Lewis might get his head down now and just bang in some qualifying laps to get another fastest lap of the race. But Lewis's fastest 1:52.7, Jack Smith with a 1:52.4, and Jack looking to protect his championship lead. And he's got some work to do here because he's chasing, as you can see, Thomas Potter. Thomas 3rd in the standings at the moment, and Jack will be keen here. He needs to consistently beat the likes of Thomas and Oliver Gibson in order to keep that championship lead intact as they go down the main straight in towards turn 1. Still only half a second though between Carroll and Stannard, so Andy Carroll's still very much there. Look how close Jack Smith gets there.
Yeah, I don't know if that was a little bit deep there. Looked like he was about right into the back of Thomas Potter there, so I don't know if he had to back out a bit or realised he wasn't quite going to make that corner, so he lost a little bit of momentum there. But yeah, we'll see. I don't know if there is some higher management going on maybe towards the end of the last race. People that had been pushing a bit more realised the tyres did drop a bit, so maybe a bit management at this point. So Lewis not wanting to go all out just yet, to know that maybe he's going to have to defend towards the end of the race, especially if Andy stays close behind. So yeah, not giving it away too easy just yet.
No, he's not. There's some really good fights. This is a great circuit for me. Love this one, so wouldn't be sorry to see this one on future events as well. I think this is the first one I've done with VRRC at Watkins Glen for sure. But yeah, really good circuit and giving us some good racing. Stannard, Carroll and Pearcey are the top 3 at the moment. Lee running in the similar livery that you've seen from Rich Hayden in race number 1. Talking of Rich Hayden, what happened to him? Was he involved in that skirmish earlier on? He's running in 15th at the moment. It was Andy Dorman who went out. Jamie Page 20th. Jamie was one of the stars of the touring cars, wasn't he? I think you called a couple of races where Jamie had wins as well. They had 3 wins, I think, in the touring cars, Becky.
Yeah, he had some great performances in the touring cars. I think everybody's now bullying him into getting a microphone, because as much as he says, "Oh no, this track isn't me, I'm not going to do well," and he always seems to end up on the podium, and it's like we can't even talk to him, so we've not even spoken to him at any of these great performances he's had to actually find out how he felt and how he went about it. So again, Jamie, get a microphone, please, so we can actually talk to you, because we're starting to take it personally now, I think.
Yeah, so did he not do any interviews at all on the touring car one because of
none whatsoever?
All right, maybe he's a little bit reticent or something to do an interview. The thing I always say to people, and I'm sure this is not the case with Jamie, but people will know this one from me, that if you do a bad interview, it's the interviewer. If you do a good one, it's you. That's what I always say, and it is fairly well right, as we now see Smith having a go at Thomas Potter. As Jack Smith, that is, trying to close down on Ollie Smith next up. But you can see here, you can get your nose in front. Oh, and Thomas Potter tags him, and they both go round. They both get spanked as a result of that. And I think Jack Smith's going to recover quickly. And really, Thomas has got to let him go here after that little tag. They were side by side, but both spanked as a result of that. So it's now Scott Bugner up into P3. So Scott there up ahead of Lee Pearcey. And our director, Steve, keeping a super job of jumping around and covering the action. I didn't mean jumping in the derogatory way, moving around to cover the action and back up to P3 with Ollie Smith coming into play now as well. Really good stuff from Ollie. And yeah, we'll start to form, because we're about halfway through our second race, so we're going to start to form an idea of who we might want to think about for driver of the round. And there are a few people putting in some good performances here, not necessarily on podium positions, but just good consistent stuff as we ride on board with Ollie Smith. Might mark himself out as one for us to think about. Caden Cook's up to 6 now. Granted, there have been issues for other drivers like Jack Smith and Thomas Potter, but Caden's been consistent. He's been there all the time so far, so maybe Caden in contention for that. Ollie Smith is 2. Ollie not that far away from podium pace at the moment, but still Lewis Stannard out front. 1.6 seconds clear, and Lewis Stannard now has the fastest lap. Apologies, Becky, if you mentioned that already. But yeah, Lewis now fastest lap with a 1:51.954. He is very clearly adapted to rear-wheel drive now, and we're seeing the kind of form that we had from him in the Mini Championship.
Yeah, great to see him adapting so well to a new series, new car, and new feel completely. So yeah, great performance. Then we'll see if Scott's managed to pick up a few tricks from Rich in the first race of defending, as I think we've got Ollie Smith flashing his headlights, as we could see a little bit of a flash come up on the back of Lee's car. So yeah, he's eager to try to get past these two. But like you said, obviously, yeah, there might have been mistakes earlier that have allowed other drivers to get a bit further up, but it's all part of racing. You've got to try to avoid that and stay out of trouble. So whether you cause a collision or you getting around it, it's all part of racing. So there's no shame in kind of, yeah, if you get positions from it, you've stayed out of trouble basically. So it's all fair play there, isn't it?
Yeah, and pretty sure that kind of fortune will make up for bad fortune that those drivers will have had in previous rounds, because you can bet your bottom dollar they'd have been taken out or punted off in some form or been collected by someone in a previous race. As we look at Scott Pugner,
it always seems to come round one
It
way or
does.
the other. So you get good,
Absolutely.
you get bad. So
yeah, absolutely right. So we've got Scott Pugner now P3. He's going to be able to close in on Andy Carroll for second. He's got a bit of a gap. He's got 2.75 seconds to close up. Lee Pearcey in 4th, Ollie Smith in 5th, and Ollie looking to be the man on the move here. Caden Cook still down behind them in 6th place. Jack Smith 7th, Thomas Potter 8th. Then it is Callum Enstone, Oliver Gibson in 10th. I'm going to go down to 12th, even though it's not top 12 river. John Wilkie's got up to 12th, so he's had a decent run in this one too, with Cat Potter in 11th. And Cat is very nearly consistently into the top 10 now, which is great to see, as Lee Pearcey goes a little bit wide, and Ollie Smith won't need a second invitation. Tar very much through on the inside, but Lee Pearcey we know will fight back. But I think Ollie's got that position. He's got the whole car in front, grabbed the line that he wants, and Lee Pearcey now's got to fight back.
yeah, unfortunately losing a bit of time there, going a little bit too wide. So, but yeah, he's already fought back and gained that position back. Probably through the frustration of a little error from his own side, not any sort of tangles or any dirty drive in there. But yeah, didn't take him long to rectify that again. But Scott's now got a nice buffer, so has Lewis. Lewis has been once again setting some really quick laps and has pulled that gap now from Andy. So probably feeling quite comfortable out the front there. Just hoping the tyres obviously stick with him, and he can keep sticking in the nice consistent laps.
Yep, he will, I think, be looking at trying to get his way up into. If he scores well in this round, of course, we do start taking the drop rounds or dropped events into account on the points fairly early on. So he's going to start to put himself in a really strong position championship-wise. Down the inside goes Thomas Potter. So Thomas makes the move there on Caden Cook. Thomas trying to climb back up. Jack Smith still in front of him. Jack's managed to pull away a little bit. Caden Cook still inside the top 10. And remember, this will be his first top 10 of this series. Just trying to work out whether Caden was in touring car head. So he wasn't in the minis with us as far as I can remember. And having a quick look. No, is he a brand new driver, Caden Cook? I'll have to ask Rich that one.
I believe he is. I don't know if he covered. I don't know if he knows Thomas Potter, because we did have a Caden sit in for Thomas on the first round of the touring cars last series.
Got you.
So I don't know if that is the same Caden or if I'm just making that up. But if it is, he did do a race or a round for Thomas to sit in. But yeah, good to see him getting up to speed nice and quickly. And same with Callum as well. Obviously, he didn't join us last week, or you, shall I say? I wasn't here either. But yeah, so good to see him being able to get up to pace nice and quickly as well.
Yeah, really good stuff. Running very well indeed. Is he? So yeah, Callum Enstone, first one of the season, did really well in the minis, and great to have 2 or 3 drivers who joined us for the first time for the minis carrying on and coming into our second championship. 5 minutes 39 remaining, with Lewis Stannard out front. Good lead now over Andy Carroll, Scott Bugler, the 2 teammates, second and third. Lee Piercy is in 4th, and we're looking at Ollie Smith trying to close back on Lee. Momentarily got that 4th place, did Ollie. Jack Smith trying to close down on them, but with a fair bit of work to do. If we look back, yeah, he's way back, Jack Smith, after that contact with Thomas Potter. Thomas in 7th, Caden Cook 8th, Callum Enstone, Oliver Gibson. If any of the drivers, I don't know if they listen to the commentary, probably don't, but if they watch it back, there is a point or a place in the Discord server where you can put broadcast notes, which is where we kind of have our virtual commentators' notes. If you've got contact details, you want to hook up with Becky or me on the Discord chat to send us an invitation, or put some notes about yourself in the commentators' notes. It is useful to know, and also means we can talk about you. If we're talking about you and you're not on screen, then Steve, our director, will pick up and drop back and see where you are if you're further back. Of course, if you're at the front, which is what we hope to see everyone, as Ollie Smith made a little mistake there, runs a little bit wide back to oh, it wasn't Ollie Smith, it was Andy Carroll now showing as the leader. So it's Lewis Stannard dropping down. What has happened there? Lewis Stannard in the pit. So, yeah, while I'm whispering on about commentators' notes, I've missed something absolutely key, and it's Andy Carroll now in the lead from Scott Bugner. So Scott on for a double P2 at the moment. He's 2.6 seconds down. Becky, did you clock what happened to Lewis?
No, it disappeared. So whether there was, I can't imagine there was any damage to the car, because he obviously wasn't involved in any tangles. So unless I think it was last week we had somebody run out of fuel. So unless there was some issue with that, or maybe a disconnect, but I don't think he's completely disconnected from the server or anything. So that's a big shame for Lewis there.
It is. It might, yeah, it could have been, yeah, it might have been a glitch or something, server glitch possibly. But yeah, that's a real pity, because he got fastest lap and now drops to 8th behind Caden Cook. So Andy Carroll now the leader. Andy on the podium last time out, race 3. And Scott Bugner here is putting himself very well in the frame for driver of the round, with a double podium in the first 2 races. And when you think that's a reverse grid, that is some going. Lee Piercy 3rd. Nice to have Lee on the podium again. Ollie Smith 4th from Jack Smith. Then Thomas Potter, Caden Cook 7th. Lewis Stannard hopefully recovering in 8th place. And then Callum Enstone 9th, Oliver Gibson in 10th. Ollie having a little bit of a struggle in this one at the moment, as we pick up on Ollie Smith, still trying to deal with Lee Piercy again. If he'd kept in front of Lee, obvious to say, he would have been on the podium at this point.
Yeah, Lee's been recovering well, even though he's gone wide a couple of times, and Ollie's managed to sneak past him. He's soon to rectify that mistake and get back past him. So seems like he's just got a little bit more pace at the moment than Ollie. But again, Ollie might just be sitting back, waiting, biding his time, thinking, right, I just need to time it at the right moment, get past him. And again, like we said in the previous race, make sure there's no time for him to retaliate, to get back past him. It's probably somewhat the safest thing to do, but at the same time risky, because you need to make sure you can make that move happen.
Yeah, that is spot on, isn't it? Here is Ollie Smith now challenging for a podium position, closing down, clatters the curbs a little bit, loses a wee bit of ground. We've only got a couple of minutes left now, just over 2 minutes remaining, so probably a lap and a half. And it's Andy Carroll 3 seconds clear of Scott Bugner. Scott looking very settled in 2nd place, but 3rd far from decided yet. And if Ollie, he's already proved that he can get past Lee Piercy once, he should be able to do it again. Whether he can stay in front is another matter, so it might be a question of timing for the 4th place driver at the moment. Jack Smith back in 5th, a little way further behind. If these two clash, could get a podium potentially, or Thomas Potter. Thomas is another 5 seconds down on him. 1 minute 40 remaining on the clock now. Still Lewis Stannard with the fastest lap, down in 8th place, as the 3rd and 4th place cars sweep downhill, reach the bottom of the dip and then back uphill into the left-hander. And it's still Carroll leading Bugner. Piercy and Smith, the battle you're looking at here at the moment, and a keen one it is between the two of them. And Ollie Smith is not finished yet. He's still busy chasing, close enough to have a little stab, and again he's all over the back of Lee Piercy, who's had this pressure for most of the second half of the race here from Ollie Smith. So are we going to see a maiden podium for Ollie Smith? He draws level as they go down the main straight into turn one, not quite squeezed into the barrier, but it couldn't have got much closer, and he's got the run on the inside. Jack Smith gets the fastest lap of the race as they battle for it. Ollie Smith gets the lead, runs a little bit wide down. Lee Piercy's coming back at him, but I think he's consolidated that. Ollie Smith with a great move around the outside, but we know that Lee Piercy is capable of fighting back. Here is the view from the third place car. I don't think it can get closer than that. Maybe a little bit of contact. Lee Piercy is now thinking about different lines where he can go through, maybe get back, but Ollie Smith might have played his cards at exactly the right time to come through and grab that third place, but tiny mistake there, ran a little bit wide. Was that track limits? I don't know, but it doesn't unsettle the car as I thought it might, Becky, and it looks like Ollie Smith might be on for a podium.
Yeah, great move. You've got to be so careful of some of these curbs because they're almost like a double tier. So the initial part of it, it's fine to run over, but then there's a step up. So if you ride that a bit too much, it's just, like you say, going to unsettle the car, and you're just going to lose that momentum and just allow that other driver behind you or alongside you to just claw back a bit of kind of space on you, and yeah, potentially make a move further along the lap. But as we're drawing to the end, we'll see if Ollie can keep defending it right to the end. It looks like Lee has dropped back a little bit, but I'm sure he'll keep going for moves, as unfortunately runs fairly wide there.
Oh, Lee Piercy into the barrier. Well, he was close. That's definitely game over now, isn't it? Ollie Smith's going to grab that podium as we go back to our race leader, Andy Carroll, who is 3 seconds clear of Scott Bugner. It's going to be a double podium for Scott Bugner, but it's going to be a first race win of the series for Andy Carroll. He's always there or thereabouts, and nips across the line to take the win. Andy Carroll the winner. Scott Bugner will take another second position, takes the points lead on the meeting. Ollie Smith grabs a podium and is in third place ahead of Jack Smith. Jack Smith came through that smelling of roses, didn't he? Fourth position with after contact and all sorts of issues. Lee Piercy has recovered for fifth. That was a good recovery from Lee, running a little bit ragged in the closing stages, but getting fifth place ahead of Thomas Potter. Caden Cook seventh, Lewis Stannard in eighth, Callum Enstone is next up in ninth, and Rich Hayden wrapping up our top 10 after early problems. Timing screen showing something different actually to what I've got. Okay, Oliver Gibson in 10th place. So Enstone 9th, Oliver Gibson in 10th, Cat Potter 11th again, John Wilkie 12th. Good stuff from John from further back. Remember, he was right down the order in race number 1. John Jones next, Rich Hayden 14th from Connor Potter, Jack Dickerson next up, and there were issues in the early stages for Andy Dorman and Jamie Page, and we'll have a podium interview, all three, in a minute or so. Well, very nearly two different drivers on the podium for this one, which is great for our VRRC Tuesday evenings racing on our virtual track at Watkins Glen. And I'm always chuffed to do a first. I'm pretty sure I've not interviewed Ollie Smith before. Is that the case, Ollie? Congratulations. Is that your first VRRC podium?
It is.
Many congratulations. Tell us a bit about yourself.
I'm 15. I race in the Junior Saloon Car Championship. Currently leading the rookies.
Ah, congratulations. Nice one. I should probably know the name from somewhere. So what's the connection with VRRC and how did you get involved? Is it through Lewis or because you were aware of what Lewis was doing?
Yeah, so Lewis used to be my teammate. And then he did the minis and it kind of made me look into it a bit more, and then this popped up, and I decided to do it.
We're very glad you did. Did you stand in for Thomas, or was that a different driver? Because me and Becky were trying to work out where we sort of heard the name before.
No,
That
that's
wasn't
a
you.
different driver.
So this
no.
is your first. This is your first VRRC series.
Yeah.
Well, super job, mate. And what a race you had with Lee Piercy. I mean, you were dicing it out towards the middle stages. You got past him. He managed to repass, and then you seemed to time that one perfectly. And maybe he got a little bit frustrated trying to catch up with you in the closing stages, disappeared off. He did recover, which was good. But talk us through that race-long battle from your perspective.
I mean, yeah, we both had like a really good race. I mean, I dropped off a bit. He had a few moments. I caught back up. I got the run on him at the last corner, down the inside. I think towards the end of that lap, he, as you said, I think got a bit frustrated. And I kind of picked the moment right and just, yeah, went.
That's very good. Tell us about the sponsors you got in your car.
So I got Big Wipes, who's my main sponsor. AVK, Summit Motors is my dad's mechanic shop. And then a few other ones that help support me through my racing season.
Nice one. Whereabouts are you based? Where are Summit Motors based for anyone that might be?
Maidenhead in Berkshire.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, home counties. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And when's the next outing in JSCC?
I believe it's middle of next month. We're at Alton Park.
Okay, so it's Alton, and then I'm guessing you probably only got a couple left. I might be wrong, but
Yeah, we got Alton, Alton and
Fireworks.
Brands Hatch with TCRs and trucks.
Yeah, mega meeting that one, isn't it? Have you been to the
Yeah.
firework meeting before?
Yeah.
Yeah. Really...
Yeah. My brother won it last year, so we were there. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Right now I know you are. So were you at the minis at the weekend?
No, unfortunately, I wasn't.
Okay. And is it your brother that races in the minis?
He used to, but we had to pull out for funding reasons. But he'll be back fully next year.
Okay, well, that's good. I'm glad to he's coming back, which is
Yeah.
really good. So when do you turn 16?
Next year, be middle of May next year.
All right, so probably another season in juniors.
We're looking to do next year. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, that's really good. Absolutely mega to have you on the podium, mate. And obviously no problem with the interviews. You're probably used to those from Ian Waterhouse sticking a microphone in your face at all the meetings.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is really good. He's a guy to talk to, isn't he, as well? So, yeah, well
Yeah.
done. Ollie Smith, welcome to the podium. Welcome to VRRC. Thank you for joining us and racing with us. And I hope that's the first of many podium interviews that you have with us.
Yeah, hopefully. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ollie. Well done, mate. Ollie Smith, first podium interview with Ollie. Second podium interview of the night for Scott P2. And Scott, on the little icon that we've got, it comes up as Moses. I'm sure I haven't asked you why it's Moses Bubner. Why is that?
Because I think in the last series I managed to get through most of the reverse grids quite well, and it just sort of parted for me. And Jackson said, "Well, I'm going to call you Moses." Every time there was a crash, they kind of like went one way and the other, and I carried on straight and I got through. So that's why I am now called Moses. Right,
Got you. Okay, so we've got that one out of the way. Congratulations on P2, and yeah, that's not easy, is it, on a reverse grid? So it probably puts you in the driving seat for points for round 2.
No, it wasn't easy. I didn't even see what had happened to Lewis. I thought I was third, and the next minute I look up and I'm like, oh, okay, 2 laps to go, and we're 1-2, which is good. But yeah, I mean, obviously we've got a full reverse grid for this next race, so yeah. It's just going to be trying to stay out of trouble, which is really, really difficult, you know. And overtaking's really not easy here either. There's bits and bobs where you can go, but it's risky. And when we've got the good points that we've got, we don't really want to be risking losing any points. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. It was a nice sort of comfortable race after sort of the first 4 laps, and then just a nice chilled out drive for the rest of it.
And yeah, I'm just going to throw one back at you from last week. You said that we wouldn't be talking to you very much because it was, you know, rear-wheel drive or whatever, but you proved that you're capable in whatever that he's thrown at you.
Rich knows I despise rear-wheel drive. I'm not a fan of it at all, but for some stupid reason, I carry on doing it. It's just one of them things. It just takes me a little while with rear-wheel drive. You know, with front-wheel drive, you're so used to just being able to get on the throttle if you go sideways, or if you want a bit of oversteer, you just lift. In these, it's a totally different beast. It's just sort of getting used to it. But I think just this car and me and this track gel quite well. but yeah, I'm definitely getting there. The lap times are still not quite the quickest, but at the minute that doesn't matter because we're getting the points. But I'm sure when Jack Smith and Ollie Gibson are at the front in front of me, it's going to be quite difficult to stick with them. But yeah, we've got to take the points where we can and not let Jack get away too quickly, too early.
No, I think that's fair enough. That's fair enough. What I'm not quite sure where we are on championship points or where you're going to be in this one. Just having a look at the timing screen, which kind of forms up, but you're well up there championship wise. So it's going to be yourself, the two Ollies, and equally the two Smiths. I think I've double counted Ollie Smith there actually, if I say it that way. But yeah, you're going to be a little bit of a way back. So any sort of, do you set yourself any target? What would you be happy with in the final?
If I could be inside the top 10 and get away with no damage, that would be perfect. One of them's probably not going to happen. But yeah, just to get through, me and Andy, hopefully, I think Andy's starting a little bit ahead of me. So if he can get through and I can try and follow him through when we get together, then it's great. But yeah, a nice 1-2 for Team Carbug, and it keeps us right in the title hunt for the constructors as well.
Yeah, nice one. Very good. I'm glad you mentioned Andy and Team Carbug because we're going to have a word with him next. So I say well done. Double podium, Scott Bergner. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Andy Carroll. So continue team theme. You're always there. We always get a podium interview out of you at one or other of these races, and it's top step. Well done, Mr. Carroll. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you. I was a bit surprised to see Lewis pull into the pits, but I assume he got a drive through or something. But yeah, so that was quite useful for me. And that part, obviously, by that point, I had quite a decent gap behind me, so it was really just.
Yeah. So you think it was a drive-through? I haven't heard from Rich or.
I can only assume it was because I couldn't.
That would make sense, but I don't know. Yeah, not sure.
I can't imagine unless he completely loaded the wrong setup and put only quali fuel in or something, or I don't know. But yeah, I just came around, saw him going through the last turn, thought he was taking a strange line, and then he pulled off into the pits. So
either way, we'd have seen you on the podium, so it was strong.
I hope so, yeah.
How are you finding this track? It's a difficult track to pass on, isn't it? And you had to do plenty of that to get where you were.
Yeah, I mean I like the track. As you said, it is really tough to get past on, and you can lose time very quickly in some of the corners just by taking slightly wrong line, compromising yourself. So yeah, to kind of keep hitting the times that Lewis was pushing there at the beginning of the race, just couldn't quite keep pace with him. But hopefully I'm in my groove a bit now, and yes, let's see how difficult overtaking really is from full reverse.
Yeah, full reverse of the points combined from races 1 and 2. So we're at a minute, so I'm going to get told off if I don't say goodbye to you now. But I will say well done, Andy Carroll. Good to have you on the top step of the podium, and good luck for race 3.
Thank you.
So Andy Carroll, it's race 5 of the series. Now remember, we are on 3 times 20-minute races now, and probably in for a little bit of fun on this one. But race 3 is fully reversed. So pole position will go to Jack Dickerson with Connor Potter alongside. So it's Jack Dickerson and Connor Potter on the front row of the grid. John Wilkie and John Jones next up. John Wilkie had a good run, made progress in the previous race with John Jones alongside him. Cat Potter and Callum Enston next up. Then Callum Cook and Lewis Stannard in 8th. And Lewis has got Thomas Potter and Oliver Gibson right behind him. So as soon as you get row 4, you've got drivers that are regular podium finishers in the mix. So this is going to be a very interesting final 20-minute race coming up here at Watkins Glen. We're going to be saying goodbye to Watkins Glen all too soon as the lights go out and we go racing. And Jack Dickerson gets away nicely there, as does Connor Potter in P2 in the blue. So Connor and Jack, let's hope that they all behave themselves going down into turn 1. Fingers and legs and everything firmly crossed at the moment in the virtual commentary box that they make it. They've done it around turn 1. It's turn 3 and 4. Maybe we will start to get a mixture as well. This one even more reversed, if that is a way of looking at things than race 2 was, and it looks like, Becky, they have started well and are behaving themselves.
I think, yeah. I don't want to say anything too soon because it is always there is a car off in the background. I'm not too sure who that is, but I'm sure we will figure it out eventually because it always seems to be just those S's. It's just so tight. So I think it just gets to a point, especially when you've got 3 cars all trying to go for the same point. It's somewhat inevitable, especially at the start of races. Once we get into the flow of things again, it will settle down again, I'm sure, and we'll be able to breathe a little bit more. Oh, I don't know. That's Thomas Potter and. Oh.
That's either Lee Pearcey or Rich Hayden that's gone around as well, just out of shot.
It was definitely one of the DK Power ones as well. So I don't know. I think it was Ollie Gibson as well that then came back across the track and took a few more out as well. So they'll be collecting themselves and getting back on track.
They will. This is that time of the race as Lewis Stannard makes the move up into P2. John Jones in the lovely, beautiful livery, that one. I mean, there's some great liveries out there, full stop. Courtesy of Kenny Press, of course. If you want to get involved with VRRC racing, Kenny will sort you out a nice livery. It's never too late to join a series. You can join at the start of the season. You can join halfway through a campaign. Come in whenever you like. Do a one-off and see if you like it. You'll be very... As Callum Enstone makes a move now, and he is looking to make up a place. Connor Potter, though, has assumed the lead. I haven't given Connor due reverence here for getting out front, and he's got Lewis Stannard chasing him down now, but a good start by Connor Potter. And how long is he going to hold the lead for? There's half a gap there, and Lewis is going to have a look at it, but Connor comes across, and I think was a little bit worried there and runs wide. Let's see where Connor will rejoin. Lewis Stannard now is into the lead after disappointment. Hopefully we'll get the story from Lewis about race 2. But John Jones now into P2, so it's Stannard from Jones. Callum Enstone up into 3rd, another driver that has had, I think we gave Callum driver of the round in one of the, we didn't give it to him, he won it, he earned it, driver of the round in one of the mini races and ran superbly, so not surprising to see him up at the sharp end of things as a round goes. Andy Carroll, that's not Andy Carroll, is it? Is that Scott Bugner having a spin and dropping down? Certainly one of the orange and blues. So not great for him, but Stannard clear at the moment. Lewis Stannard is where he needs to be at the moment, out front with nobody to avoid at the moment as we watch John Jones and Callum Enstone. This is great, seeing John and Callum up at the sharp end. Andy Carroll next up, so that must have been Scott Bugner that maybe spun and recovered very quickly, unless we're getting my colours muddled up. But yeah, Lewis
Stannard. I think it would have been Jack Dickinson.
Oh, Jack Dickinson. Okay, yeah, he's dropped
I
out.
believe he's one of their drivers as well, so the 3rd member of that team. So again, similar livery, which is always nice and confusing for us as commentators.
Thanks, Pete. It didn't confuse you, it confused me. You got it. Well done. Thank you for that. As Callum Enstone goes past John Jones into P2, and we'll set about trying to close on Lewis Stannard. So Stannard the leader, Callum Enstone next up from John Jones. Andy Carroll Andy Carroll now on maybe for a double podium. So you never quite know what you're going to get in a VRRC race, do you? As they try and settle down, we're starting to get shouts for driver of the round. Becky's done one of those quietly on the chat, which viewers won't be able to see. But I'm kind of agreeing with Becky at the moment, but we'll see how we go.
I don't want to jinx the driver too much, but yeah, definitely from the first couple of races. So we'll see what they can make happen this race. So fingers crossed, and I've predicted it right.
Yeah, there's another driver in the mix, Andy Carroll. If he can get double podium, that might be a shout out as well. Rich Hayden's come through. He could be on for a double podium as well. Rich is in 5th. Scott Bugner 6th from Lee Pearcey. Then Oliver Gibson, Andy Dorman. Cat Potter into the top 10, which is good going with brother Thomas, who has the fastest lap at the moment in 11th. Thomas has had a very quiet meeting by Thomas Potter's standard. Quiet in terms of results. Oh! And that's John Jones, very sadly, goes
and Andy
through
Carroll.
Gyration. Rich and Andy Carroll. So it's Stannard, Enstone, Hayden and Bugner now. So Scott Bugner looking good for another potential podium, but he's going to be in the scenario he was in race 1, which is behind Rich Hayden. So he now knows, presumably if you heard the interview, about the yellows, and that he doesn't have to, he can get his elbows out and maybe do a 50-50 elbows out again to try and get through. As we watch Andy Dorman in 7th place, Thomas Potter down behind him. Has Thomas still got the fastest lap? He has. Thomas is running in 8th place, and I would expect now we've got clear track, I wouldn't be surprised to see Lewis Stannard bang in a fastest lap, and we could potentially have another JSCC interview on the podium.
Yeah, just a nice clear track ahead. Not got anything really to worry about at the moment with a nice over 4-second lead there. I don't know if Thomas just made a little bit of contact with the barrier there coming out of that corner, but hasn't stopped him too much. I think the one thing I think Scott's got to be mindful of, he's chasing after Rich, but he's also got Rich's teammate behind him. So we'll see if Lee wants to play a bit of a team game, and he's a bit off the back of him at the moment, but I'm sure he'll keep pushing and see if he can be of assistance to his teammate further up the road.
Absolutely. The other driver that's been quiet points-wise is Jack Smith here. He's been amassing them. It doesn't matter too much for Jack, because we know that he'll always bounce back if he has an off round or one where he's not scored too many points. Those points might come in handy towards the end of the campaign. But how weird is it that we've had 2 races and haven't had Jack Smith or Oliver Gibson on the podium? So one would suggest that the race format in some ways is working to help the other drivers. Jack and Ollie have been victims of some bad luck, which was something we spoke about in races 1 and 2. As Thomas Potter closes down again on Andy Dorman. Andy in the red, white and black car, Thomas in the turquoise and black machine, and then up ahead of them it's Oliver Gibson with Lee Pearcey running strongly again. Podium at the moment though, still with Stannard, Enstone and Rich Hayden P3, with Scott Bugner trying to close in. So things are settled as we edge towards the half distance of our 3rd race of the evening here at Watkins Glen. Thomas Potter having a move up the inside. We'll see whether Thomas managed to get that one down now as the battle goes on for 2nd place. Rich Hayden up into P2. Our race 1 winner, Rich Hayden, passes Callum Enstone and goes up into P2. Lewis Stannard is going to be the next target for Rich, and as predicted, Lewis Stannard has got the fastest lap, 1:52.04. Rich Hayden's last lap, a 1:52.9. I'm sure there's more to come from Rich Hayden, but he'll be happy with a double podium as well. And Callum Enstone having a good strong run still in 3rd, as we focus on Andy Dorman now behind Thomas Potter in 8th.
A corner of the last lap that Andy seemed to drift out of, so probably lost a bit of momentum there. Thomas didn't capitalise right at that point, but further along the lap. But Andy's fighting back as we come around for the start of the next lap. So this will probably keep battling right till the end. Nice to see that, although everybody said it's been a bit challenging with the overtakes, it is possible. You just need to pick the right moments.
It is, and this is what, for me, a good track to have this kind of racing on. You don't want it to be impossible to overtake, but equally it's been great to see different drivers on the podium, and that's been a real bonus for me for this round, as Scott Bugner now closes in on maybe a 3rd podium. Callum Enstone, who has less experience of VRRC than Scott, and Scott pops the car down the inside, and good racing from Callum as well. Really still in a strong place in P4 at the moment, but Scott Bugner on for a triple podium. He's picked away, maybe it was the Moses effect that he was talking about in the interview, but there's been maybe a little bit of that, but again he's worked really hard here, Scott Bugner, to come through and get up into P3. He is 1.5 seconds down on Rich Hayden. Need to keep an eye on that gap, Becky, really, just to see whether he can close down on Rich and we can have a rerun of the battle we had in race number 1. But Callum Enstone, good stuff, 4th position here, and put him in a good position in a reverse grid. He's getting more and more experience and not really losing too much on Scott at the moment as well. I know Rich Hayden's gone past him, but Callum getting quicker and quicker round by round. Lee Pearcey 5th, Oliver Gibson 6th, Thomas Potter 7th, Andy Dorman 8th, top 10 completed by Jack Smith, and Cat Potter still in the top 10 as well. And just having a look at Cat's results over the last couple of races, was obviously 6th in the 2nd race last time out, 16th and 13th. And I was looking at the touring car head-to-heads, and Cat was had a couple of top 10s, had several top 10s in actual fact, but I think the average worked out kind of about 12th, something like that. So to see Cat consistently 10th and 11th here, again shows her improvement in racing, Becky.
Absolutely, and with such a big grid as well. I know it's a bit smaller, a bit whittled down this week, but compared to last week as well, and being able to stand her own there as well, and again being a female out doing it as well, even more kind of credit to her. It takes quite a lot of courage sometimes to go in and do it, and maybe take a bit of ridicule and stick some of the times, as I know she has posted on social media before about sometimes the downside to it, but you've just got to kind of keep grinning and bearing it. As particularly he's obviously had another moment there.
That was poor old Lee Piercy again, wasn't it? Having a clout into the barrier down to 9th at the moment. If he's damaged the car, Cat Potter will be up into 9th place. In fact, Cat is up into 9th place now. Lee down to 11th. Andy Carroll in 10th trying to recover. But yeah, it's a good point you make about Cat and the social media thing. If you're getting stick, it's usually jealousy, which means you're doing the right stuff if people are having a go. But sometimes it's very difficult to have to cope with it. You shouldn't have to cope with it, of course. But it does mean that people are jealous of success or the way you're doing it and that kind of thing. And let's hope that Cat and Potter, who have been absolute troopers, campaigning against anti-bullying, let's hope that they don't have to deal with any of that. Thomas Potter, any more of that. Thomas Potter goes past Callum Enstone. So it's Piercy. Lee Piercy was showing in 4th place, drops down the order. So it's Stannard, Hayden and Bugner. Thomas Potter now into P4. And actually has got the next people ahead of him, the battle for the podium, in his sights now as Oliver Gibson comes through into 5th. So Ollie Gibson having a good run. That's Jack Smith just going into the turn at the back of the group, chasing down Andy Dorman and Callum Enstone. So Jack Smith still picking up points. Andy Dorman's had a little bit of contact there with Callum as he goes past. They climb uphill, and Lewis Stannard now 7 seconds clear on this one. 1:52.04. I'm just having a look down at the other drivers' lap times. The other drivers, Jack Smith's done a 1:52.1, so Jack Smith closest to Lewis Stannard on lap times at the moment, but further back as we watch Oliver Gibson now trying to have a go at Andy Dorman. Nice little battle developing here for 5th place.
Yeah, very, very close between these two, so I'm sure there's going to be plenty of moves about to happen between them, with Callum not far behind either, so they've got to be mindful not to squabble too much to allow him to get back in on the action, and then obviously inevitably bring Jack into it as well. And as you say, it's all about trying to get as many points. I know Scott mentioned a lot in the last race series I commentated with alongside him. It's some of the times not about those wins. I know I'm probably butchering this, I'm sorry, Scott. But yeah, not about always the wins. It's about the races you don't win and where you can capitalise on the most points when you're not maybe at the front. But hopefully they don't think it's too unfair with the kind of the reverse grid, and it's giving them a bit more action in terms of racing, because I know there has been a lot of times where Jack just seems to have disappeared off in the distance. So at least it's giving him some proper fighting to go out for, which is I'm sure a lot of fun for him to do. I know he commented on it last week about it. So yeah, it's a good mix up of things, and yeah, keeps him on his toes along with everybody else.
Yeah, he's keeping Callum Enstone on his toes now. Looking down the inside, about to make up another place is Jack Smith. So Jack gets his nose in front into 7th place. And Becky, that point that you reiterate from Scott Woodward is absolutely right. Those individual points, those single points, can make all the difference. I was making a case at the weekend in F4, that we had, I think it was race 2 of the weekend, where we had Finn McLaughlin, who's the championship leader, had a coming together with Dries van Langendonk and had a puncture, came into pit lane. Wasn't going to get any points, as Callum is looking at having coming back, but then came into the pits, came back out because there's a fastest lap point, and you never know whether that solitary point is going to make a difference. And the case that I made to Phil Glue, I was working with on that one, is that Zach O'Sullivan, when he lost the championship to Luke Browning, when Luke Browning was racing for Fortec, Luke of course now 3rd in FIA F2, Zach O'Sullivan would have been more than happy to have had another point. I think they were separated by 1.5 points or something like that. So it can be a 10th or 11th place that can secure a championship. So Scott and yourself, Beck, absolutely right to make that point and be mindful of how the drivers are doing a little bit further down the field, because it can very much come into play. It's the whole campaign. It's not just the race win. Sure, we remember drivers that win loads of races, but also, it can be a key one here. And look at this. This is Andy Dorman coming back at Ollie Gibson and getting past, and that is going to come into play towards the end of the season as well. What's the gap now? Stannard to Hayden, 7 seconds. Scott Bugner. I said I've got to try and remember the gap, Becky. Did you remember what it was between Rich and Scott? Because I've forgotten what it was. Was it 1.5 seconds?
It's a pretty much there or thereabouts. I don't think it's dropped below a second. So he's not quite managing to close on. So Rich is keeping a good pace at the moment to probably Scott's frustration again, as Thomas has now set the fastest lap. So he'll be trying to got a bit of time to make up, and we've only got just over 4 minutes left, not 4 seconds. God, that'll be
You panicked me.
very quick into it. Sorry, don't panic yet. We've got a bit more time. But yeah, so he's got a bit of time to make up, but again, everybody always pushes right to the last minute, and I know there's been a time before when I've commented and it's literally something's happened right at the end of it, so you can't be, and I think that's Ollie Gibson going a bit deep there and off track and then rejoining, so Jack's gained a position there, so we'll just swap of teammates to see if he can have a go at Andy and gain that position.
Yeah, it's kind of, here you go, bro, you have a go. Although he wouldn't have wanted to go off as far if he was just opening the door for his brother. But yeah, you haven't seen my hand move so quickly to the timing screen to check the time when you said 4 seconds to go. That was so funny. That was great.
Just keeping you on your toes as well, Rich. Sorry.
This is what you need to do, Becky. This is why you're here. As Callum Enstone is still in 8th place, so he's had a really good run, Callum. Still well inside the top 10. Cat Potter's had a good consistent one in this one too, and he's still in 10th, head of her Andy Carroll. Callum Enstone 8th, we're looking at now. Oliver Gibson ahead of them, and Jack Smith. Andy Dorman 5th, Thomas Potter 4, Scott Bugner in 3. It's like doing the capital countdown. Second is Rich Hayden, and first is Lewis Stannard. But that was fascinating to see Thomas Potter, as you pointed out, get the fastest lap. But just as I say that, Lewis Stannard responds and gets a 1:51.922 for Lewis Stannard with 2 minutes 48 on the clock. He's in front, but he's going for that. But he wants that fastest lap point, or 2 points for fastest lap. Have I written down what the point scoring is? I haven't on this. I need to correct that. So extra points for fastest lap again come into play potentially at the end of the season. But it's Stannard, Hayden, and Bugner. Bugner, the triple podium finisher potentially at the moment, as long as we don't commentators curse him, and could be 3 out of 3 for the racer who we heard is going to be racing in the MG Cockshoot Cup this weekend at Silverstone. You can still tune into the commentary and on TSL, even though there's no live stream. There'll be David Addison doing the duties, you'll be pleased to know, this weekend on the comms, so he will keep everybody informed as the races develop at Snetterton. I'll probably be listening and see how Scott does, to be perfectly honest with you. And at the moment, he is in P3, closing in on Rich Hayden. The gap is just over a second now, so it's coming down ever so slightly, but he's only got 1 minute 42 to go. Maybe it is too late for that battle for second.
He kept dropping just below a second, and I didn't know if it was he pushed it a bit more, or Rich maybe letting off a little bit, or having a bit of a moment, going a bit wide at points. So he's been edging closer and closer, but yeah, like you say, it's just if he's got enough time, as we saw in the first race how difficult it was to get past him. It's going to be a challenge with just over a minute to go. I was nearly going to say a second then. I'll get my timings right at some point. It's just there's so much going on.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, it's very, very exciting, as we've got Jack still on the bumper of Andy as well, but again, not quite able to get past him just yet.
Isn't it weird that we haven't seen Jack Smith up on the podium or Oliver Gibson, and this is maybe that the various changes that have been made, the setup of the championship is working well, that we're seeing different drivers getting these podiums, as Andy Dorman runs a wee bit wide there. I don't think that did him any favours. That wasn't an advantage through exceeding track limits there, as Thomas Potter tries to close in on the nearly battle for second position. Stannard well clear, 8.9 seconds now. Rich Hayden will be looking in his virtual mirror again. It's going to be a double podium for Rich Hayden here. Might be in line for driver of the round as well, potentially. But now we can see that Scott Bugner is very much on the case. 16 seconds on the clock remaining. I'm not quite sure where they are in terms of the place now. As he looks down the inside again, there's half a gap there. Bugner's going to try and wind it around the outside. This is going to be big and brave from Bugner. Is he going to go for the cut back on the inside for the next corner? He's getting the run here, and there's a longer run towards the right-hander uphill, but Scott can't quite do it. He might look for the gap on the exit if he takes a wide enough line in and garners some momentum, which is difficult to do as you go uphill. Once again, you can't risk going in too hard because the runoff here is very, very punishing. You can see the Onco barriers and very little in the way of runoff. And this is, yeah, pretty much where we started, isn't it? We've got a stricken car off the circuit, as we had in race 1, and we've got Scott Bugner busy chasing Rich Hayden. This last time it was for the lead in race number 1, this time it's for P2, but Stannard's been supreme here.
Yeah, great performance, and it definitely rectified the wrongs of the first and second race, because unfortunately, yeah, makes sense if it was a drive-through for him to obviously keep going, but yeah, great race there from Lewis, just head down, off in the distance, and nobody to really bother him in that one.
Congratulations, Lewis Stannard, on the win. Here they come for P2, and it is Rich Hayden that has taken the checker flag for second place. Scott Bugner in third, a drag race to the line for fifth. Thomas Potter's got fourth position, so Andy Dorman just edging out Jack Smith from Oliver Gibson. Andy Carroll in eighth, Callum Enstone in ninth, Cat Potter in 10th from John Jones, and then Connor Potter in 12th. Remember, started on the front rank. Not a bad result for Connor Potter and Caden Cook. I'm sure we're going to see those drivers on the podium in the near future as well. John Wilkie, 14th. Lee Piercy, sadly having a very frustrating evening, which was a pity, but I'm sure we'll see Lee up on form again in the next round soon. There is John Jones just going through. That was 11th. I called them in position before they'd got to the line. Connor Potter next up. He's crossed the line now ahead of Caden Cook. And then John Wilkie. Lee Piercy, as we said, 15th. And Ollie Smith, our podium finisher in the previous race, is a way down. I think that's the carts off, 15th, classified in 15th position on that one, as we watch John Wilkie doing a little bit of drifting here. Look at that, nice one, John. Oh, not so nice going into the barrier, which was a pity. But all of the drivers have entertained us royally over the course of the evening. The line and wraps things up. I think we've been through most of the positions, so we're going to do our final deliberation on driver of the round, and Steve will bring our drivers down to the podium, and we'll have our interviews in just a couple of minutes. Final podium of the evening. It's been a great visit to Watkins Glen, I've got to say, and I think it's been pretty good too for Scott Bugner. 3 out of 3 podiums on a notoriously difficult to overtake on. Well done, Scott. Tell us about your evening, and starting with that last race.
Yeah, carnage, to be honest with you. Everything happened in front of me, thank goodness, and yeah, just got through it and managed to sort of look up and thought, oh, I'm P4, that will do for now, and had a little battle with Callum and just got up to third, and I thought I'm not going to put too much pressure on myself, because as much as I want to beat Rich, I didn't want to throw it off, and then he made a little mistake on that last lap, and I was like, oh, go on then, we'll have a go, but couldn't quite get him. But we've had a good night tonight, good points, and me and Rich have had a good battle all night, so yeah, I've enjoyed it.
We've enjoyed it as well. And yeah, Becky and I were talking during the races about you saying, you know, it's luck and some gaps open up, but equally racing can throw some bad stuff at you, can't it? So it has to come round at some point, and when it does, you've got to be there to do it. And this wasn't, I can't say any podium really has been gifted today, because it is a difficult track.
Yeah, I mean we've had to overtake in every race we've had. It's not just been gifted, as in everyone's indicated out the way or spun off in front of me. We've had to do some overtaking, but it's just the luck of the green. Sometimes you get. I think Rich got caught up in race 2, so it's the luck of the green. You go one way, and if the car comes back on the track, you've either gone the right way or the wrong way. And today it's proved right that we've done okay. But like I said, next week it could be a totally different story. So that's why I said you just got to take the points where you can, and take the good with the bad and the bad with the good.
Might be a silly question, bear in mind that you've had 3 podiums. But what are your thoughts? What were your thoughts last week on the new format? We did have to qualify last week, and we have reverse for that. But are you happy with reverse championship for race 1 and so on and so forth? Is it a good format? Are you happy with it?
Yeah, it felt really, really weird not qualifying tonight. I'm sat there saying to the guys in Team Carback, "Oh, I've done a good lap there," and they're like, "Why? You're not even qualified." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot." Yeah, I think it's good because it gives everyone an equal opportunity at some point in the evening. And like I was saying to Jack Dickerson in that last race, you're on pole, just look ahead. The carnage will happen behind you. And these sort of things, Jack's doing really well. He's trying really hard and learning a new car. But yeah, it just gives everyone an equal opportunity to be at the front, be in the middle, and be at the back. And that's what I quite like about it. So yeah, I think Rich has done a really good job of that. I think it's worked really well. I think the top 12 is about right. I mean, we've all sort of, well, I don't think I did actually, but a lot of people, gave Rich some suggestions, and I think everyone coming together has probably put on a good show for tonight, and I think it's worked really well.
Nice one. I agree. And the other thing that the rest of us agreed on was that, Scott, you are our driver of the round. So congratulations on that.
Thank you very much. Very appreciated.
Yeah, well, thank you for entertaining us and delivering 3 great races. And I love the fact that just as we did it, Steve pinged up the graphic as well for that. So really, really good. And you just need to do the same thing again next week. You're up to P2 in the championship now as well, by the way. Just looking at the updated standings. So well done, Scott. And we look forward to good luck for the weekend. We'll be listening to Mr. Addison commentating you on TSL. So good luck, and hopefully we'll have a chance to chat about that next Tuesday.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you.
And best wishes to your dad for the weekend too. So Scott and Dad, who's going to be racing this weekend. Well done. Scott Bugner, triple podium, 3rd place in race 3, and our driver of the round. So 2nd position, we go from a triple podium to a double podium, which doesn't sound as what. That's hard work, isn't it, Rich? Well done.
Thank you. Yeah, I was a little bit unlucky in race 2. I had an incident right in front of me that I just couldn't avoid. Broke the front right wishbone, and also had a front right puncture as well. So limped it back, did the repairs, and finished I think 14th lap down. But then yeah, the waves parted, the sea parted for me in race 3. There's 2 or 3 incidents in front of me that I was lucky enough just to be far enough back from to be able to take avoiding action without getting entangled in it. So really pleased with that. Then just set my sights forward, just knuckling down to see what I could do, see where I could come. Had a little dice with Callum, which was a little bit of fun. He went wide on one corner, so I managed to get up the inside of him and outbrake him into the next hard right. And then was matching times with Scott for a while. I could see him like lingering around 1.1 to 0.9 seconds behind me. And then on the last lap, I just lost my concentration and messed up into T1, and he just literally came right into my bumper. So it was a bit dicey for the last lap.
Good track this though, isn't it?
I love it. Yeah, great track, and this car works so well here. It's difficult to overtake, but it's not impossible. You need to have you don't need to have a massive time delta between you and the car in front to overtake, because there's obviously a good straight with some slipstream down there, but just the combination of corners coming up, if you get offline on one, then it really kind of messes you up for the next one, and so it's a good opportunity to do some overtaking. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
And the format's working where everyone seems happy with the format. And I think, in our first round without qualifying, it was great getting different drivers on the podium. Equally, we've had some consistent folk like yourself, obviously, and Scott have done really well. But yeah, sets us up for another 6 rounds remaining, which is you know, absolutely spot on. And isn't it good as well to have had another first-time podium finish at
Yes.
Ollie Smith?
Yeah, brilliant,
You know,
brilliant.
Another great JSCC driver. Got to watch these youngsters, you know.
Tell me about it. You know, I'm sat here at 53 years old trying to battle with, you know, well, how old's Thomas now? Is he 15 yet? He's not quite 15, I don't think. And some of the other
He's not
guys.
even, Thomas isn't even 14 yet, is he?
Isn't he? Oh God, I thought he was. So yeah, so it's it takes a bit more concentration, which is as you know, as we get older, is more difficult to get. But yeah, it was great fun, and I'm glad everybody's enjoying the format. The you know, the little tweak from last week, I think, has done some good. I'll get some feedback from all the drivers, obviously, after tonight's round, and yeah, onward to Bahrain.
Yep, look forward to that. Well done, Rich. Congratulations on the podium, and P2 as well. We'll catch up with you next week.
Thank you, guys.
Rich Hayden there, P2. So just leaves us to talk to our winner, and I'm amazed that it's the first chat that over the course of the campaign so far, even though we're on round 2. But great to catch up and say many congratulations on a super race win there, Lewis Stannard. Well done, Lewis. How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you very much for asking. Fastest lap there as well, consistently. You were fastest in race 1 as well. Before we get on to the success in that one, what were the issues you had in the other races?
Yeah, so obviously reverse grids around a decently-ish tight track. It's never really going to work, is it? I think you're either one of two people today. You're either going to get through and be up there in the top 5, or you're going to get involved in a crash and then drop back down. And unfortunately, in the first one, had an incident, got dropped down to last, managed to come back to, I don't even know, 8th or something, 9th, don't know. And then obviously that set me up for a decent reverse grid for race 2. I think, what happened in race 2? Oh yeah, so my diabetes pump started beeping because the battery's about to die. So I had to sprint downstairs, get my charger,
Oh, mate.
put it on charge, come back up, and then there was literally about 30 seconds. Didn't put my race setup on, and then literally first up I'm thinking, why do I keep locking my RIS? I never have this issue in the first race. Checked my brake bias and it was on the default brake bias when you first load into the car. Checked my fuel. Oh, I've only got 10 laps. So yeah, literally second to last lap, looked up at my fuel and it's just red. So had to pit. I think we finished, I don't know, 8th again.
Yeah,
and then obviously that puts me nearish the back of the reverse grid for this race. And I got lucky and I got through. No incidents whatsoever, got past, built a gap, just consistently trying to be around the 51, like high 51s, low 52s, and pulled the gap, brought it home, and we got the win. So yeah, an eventful night, but it shows I've got the pace. I know I've got the pace. I've just got to get through these lap 1, lap 2 incidents, and we're there.
Yeah. You say luck. Becky and I were talking about luck or not luck, and I think you're a case in point that you've had a bad fortune in a couple of races, and an 8-second win isn't lucky. That's your skill getting you to the that far ahead of the field with the fastest lap. And it was lovely to see you and Thomas Potter. You didn't trade fastest laps, but I think Thomas had it for one bit. Jack had it. Jack Smith had fastest lap, then Thomas, and then you. So it was lovely to see the three of you. I think what we want to see now is all three of you having a battle at the front. So hopefully that will come at Bahrain. Nobody on the test track's there. The next practice session is open. Nobody's on that as yet. Jack Smith's on there. Just as I say that, Jack Smith's name popped up. So will you be on it straight away, Lewis? Or
I don't know, what time is it? Yeah, I'll probably get on for a little bit. Why not? Get a few laps in. I've driven a lot of Bahrain on the F1 games, so I know the track, but this car isn't an F1 car, so...
you've got to learn the characteristics and everything else that goes with it.
Yeah, but no, it's going to be a very exciting race, obviously, with that huge straight going into the tightest corner on the track. I don't know if I'm going to regret saying this, but it's going to be fun, I think.
It
going
will be
into
fun. Yeah, it
the
will
race.
be fun. Yeah, that's the idea. We hope it is for everyone that's having a go. Obviously, like education's kicked off again. Are you studying at the moment?
Yeah, so Monday, Tuesdays, I'm going up to Colchester to do Rally Sport, which is basically an engineering course for people around my age, which is fun. Then obviously I've got tutor most days, and then I've started photography, I think last week. So
Oh,
yeah,
have you?
it's very busy, but
Yeah.
we'll get through it.
I was like, how are you getting to Colchester? I mean, is that sort of folks have to drop you off because you're not driving age, are you? Are you using transport or public transport or?
Yeah, I have to wake up at 6 in the morning for my mum to take me there.
That's
I think it's like a
counterintuitive at your
2.5
age, isn't it?
hour.
That's counterintuitive at your age, getting up that early, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I basically have about 3-4 hours sleep. So yeah,
So is that a college in Colchester you're doing that, or?
I don't actually know. It's not an actual college, but I think they call it a college because it's meant for that age group. I'm
Right,
not
have they
actually
got-
100%
Do you know
sure.
if they've got spaces? Because I was chatting to a guy. This is going off piece a little bit for everyone on the broadcast, but chatting to a young lad in the Fiesta Juniors who was, for whatever reason, couldn't go and do the MSA college, and he's looking for, and he's in that neck of the woods, so he'd be interested to know if there is a place
Yeah,
where
might
he can study.
Yeah, it's great. You know, you're working on cars that they're not standard road cars. They're like proper, like 90s, 2000s modded cars. So they're nice cars. I like them.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
we're working on a Mini now, which falls in nice because I've just started working on my Mini, and yeah, it's good fun.
Is that ready for when you go on the road, or is that a practice kind of car for racing? Is that a clue to what you're doing next year, or?
Yeah, so we've got a Mini trophy car, which
Right.
we've got, I don't know, a couple weeks ago we picked it up. So taking all the wrap off, I'm going down to the plough lane to strip it all down, take all the doors and the boot and all that stuff off of it, ready to get painted. And yeah, should be out in it soon, hopefully.
Whose car was it? Are you allowed to say who you bought it from, or?
I don't know. I think I don't know. It was Tom Ovenden's in
Oh, wow,
2023,
okay. Yeah,
and
so it's a
then
good
that
car.
got, I think, Tommy Watson bought it, and
Right.
then we've got it off of him, and then Tilly's got my old Saxo. So yeah, really looking forward to it.
That sounds really cool. I forgot because you're working with the Maron guys, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Oh, nice one, Liz. Well, thanks for that, and nice to have seen Tom Ovenden, not at the expense of Jamie, obviously, but Tom Ovenden going into the lead of the JCW. So we wish Napa Jamie well again. I hope that he recovers well. But yeah, all good stuff in the mini paddock. But anyway, well done on the win, convincing win as well there. And thanks for the chat as ever. Always great to catch up with you. And we'll have a good week, and we'll see you same time next week.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, nice one. Thanks, Lewis. Take care, mate.
Cheers, see you in a bit.
And well done. So congratulations again to our top three for our race 3. Scott Bugner, our driver of the round. Rich Hayden, double podium. And second position, Lewis Stannard, our race winner. Becky, really?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, a lot of which is always what we like to see. Settled down as well, maybe a bit more carnage in the first race, and then yeah, everybody seemed to get into the spit a bit more. But yeah, the reverse grid's always throw a bit of excitement into it, doesn't it? And yeah, fair play to Lewis as well, managing the diabetes well. I know that pain, so big shout out to all the diabetics out there that have to do that. So never good when you panic and you think you're going to run out of a charge on any of your devices. So pleased he managed to get back into the race, unfortunately on the wrong setup. So hopefully, yeah, not something that will come up a cropper again for him.
No, it's a really good point, and it's so easy for people like me who don't have to deal with that to take everything, regular for granted. So I'm glad you made that point, and I'm glad you backed that up as well. So thanks for that. It's been really good to work with you again. Look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. I think you're joining us for the American round, so looking forward to seeing that, Becky. But thanks ever so much for helping us out again on VRRC and doing a cracking job. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me, and yeah, I'll be back for all the American rounds. So I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Nice one, nice one. Thanks very much indeed. Thanks also to Steve Allen, as you can see from the graphic, has hosted the broadcast and produced, directed, vision mix and everything else, which is no mean feat. From myself, Richard John Neal, I've got this week, so I'm maybe going to watch a bit of football or do something else, listen to a bit on TSL. Whatever you do, I hope you have a great week and a very special and happy weekend. Be nice to each other, and we'll see you same time, same place next week. Bye for now.
Between the two of them,
The inside of coats.
Watkins gets too heavily involved.
And that's Whitehead and Coates.